Well, we have another beautiful winter's day, and yeah, we're having a quick once around the field today, making the most of it. Alfie's guesting. He's been with us over New Year and been enjoying his stay. Hasn't wanted to go out for a walk very much, but today he saw that sunshine and thought, I'm going out. Although apparently we've got snow forecast tonight, so I'm making the most of this while I can. Well, as you can see, we did have a little bit of snow last night. Not much, just enough to be annoying. But it's now raining and it's all melting, and it's actually quite foggy as well. Nice watching the birds on the bird feeders. I always try and keep them stocked up at this time of year. It's mostly blue tits out there, but there's blackbirds, magpies, the occasional jay, house sparrows, and of course wood pigeons. There's always wood pigeons. But at the moment it seems to be mostly blue tits out there at the moment, and they are enjoying it. Hardly anything left now. It'll all be gone in a few hours. The pixies have been busy, or someone's just dipping their toe into the world of land art for the first time. It's a shame how the commitment stopped me getting over the fields first thing this morning, because there was a good layer of about half an inch of snow. I suppose nothing serious, but you know, enough that you could have a good bit of fun with it. And the kids were over here making snowmen, because of course being a Sunday and they're off school at the moment still, they made the most of it. One lad, or a group of lads, even built a kind of igloo thing. Here's a photograph of it, but not much of it remaining now, as you can see. Not a lot left. Just a few lumps of snow. And now I'm being gently sleeted on. So I think, yes, time to go home and hug a radiator, I think. Well, the snow lasted about 4 hours before it all disappeared. And now we're back to normal. And then we had torrential rain last night, so there's an awful lot of water on the fields. It's all very waterlogged. Big puddles everywhere, and the wind's got up, and the wind is very cold as well. I suspect that this will not be a long meander today. First snowdrops I've seen just starting to emerge. There's a few here and there, and there's some more over here coming up. Although they look more like crocuses, to be honest, but first ones I've seen. Hello there. It's been a good old hard frost overnight. The ground's very hard, as you can probably hear, and yeah, it's nice because at least the mud isn't sloshing around everywhere like it has been the last few weeks with all the rain we had. There's only like little patches of frost left on the grass now. If you'd come over here first thing this morning, all of this field would have been white. Almost looked like snow. But the temperature's gone up quite a bit, considering what it was like the last couple of days. I'm not complaining, it's quite nice out here. And it is very quiet still. And on the subject of noise, I just had an interesting experience on my walk to the fields. I've got to basically leave my front door, walk to the end of the road, walk to an alleyway, and I'm here. Walking along the road, there's a bit where I had to cross over at the far end, and I looked left and right and started crossing the road, and suddenly two cars appeared, both from opposite directions. Both electric cars, of course, you know, the silent killers as some people call them. But it made me think about road noise and noise in general. Noise is the pollution that we don't talk about enough, I feel. I mean, you say pollution to someone, they instantly start talking about the disgraceful state of our rivers and our beaches in the UK. But noise is a pain. I mean, yes, you often hear me fulminating and shouting about helicopters and aircraft over here, but it's a fact that you're walking around the countryside enjoying the bird song and you know, the gentle sounds of nature, and these bloody helicopters come tanking across you making all this noise. It's really quite frustrating. Back at the turn of the millennium, how can that be 25 years ago? It's madness. There was a lady on the radio, I think it was on Radio 4, it might have been BBC Radio 4 that is, or possibly the World Service, talking about the changes that had happened during her lifetime, because she was actually born in 1900. and they were talking to her and what she'd seen during her century. And she said, you know, the one thing that she really missed was quiet, because for the whole of her childhood and really into her teenage years, there were no airplanes in the sky and there were hardly any cars on the road. But noise is, you know, an issue that's serious. I mean, if you've ever been frustrated sitting on public transport when someone's having a loud conversation on their phone, or even worse, listening to music on those tinny little speakers, just drives me absolutely nuts. Drives me nuts. And it puts up your blood pressure and it makes you stressed. And just walking in the woods sometimes, or walking out in the countryside where it is quiet, has a hugely calming effect on you. And that's why I moan at the helicopter so much. I just need to find some deeper woods. All of which brings me back to those 2 electric cars I mentioned earlier that came from different directions. I didn't hear them coming. I mean, that's got to be a good sign, isn't it? I mean, imagine when all the cars are electric, or all the cars are hydrogen powered and we don't have all that engine noise anymore. That's got to quieten things down, isn't it? And if they can build that same technology into aircraft, the world could suddenly get to be a quieter place. Fingers crossed. Here are the hazel catkins. I don't think there's any pollen left in any of them now. They put their catkins out before the leaves appear on the trees, so there's nothing to impede the pollen flying away from the actual tree. And the tree has both male and female parts. The male parts are these big catkins, and the female parts are these really tiny little red flowers, which you'd miss easily unless you were specifically looking for them. They really are tiny. Oh, this gorse bush has changed shape dramatically. I think when we had those very strong winds recently, there's a couple of big snaps there on some of the branches, and this whole side's fallen down. Probably pretty evident by the number of dead flowers here. They're obviously not getting the nutrients, but there's still plenty of live flowers. There's an old saying that says, when gorse has no flowers, kissing's out of fashion. So the good news is that gorse does flower all year round, which is good news for the lovers, isn't it? I know I'm not taking my one-a-day photographs from this point anymore, but that's a lovely dramatic sky today. Look at that beauty. Lovely, isn't it? Well, if you didn't know that we were past 12th night, now you would when you look at the tree here, because all the Christmas baubles have gone. They've been out and collected them, and they're all gone for another year. I always like it when they appear on the tree, because you know you're probably getting into the Christmas season then, but sad when they go. But that's the nature of living in a country where we have such marked seasons, I guess. You know, this time of year, yeah, it's a bit cold, it's a bit bleak, but we have these wonderful big clear skies and these beautiful sculptural skeletal trees. And you know, in no time at all, those buds will all be bursting open, and there'll be leaves all over these trees, and then the nuts will start to develop, and the fruit and everything else, and the wildlife will start to reappear. And there'll be these grasses at the moment all cut down, right down at ground level, will start to shoot upwards along with all the spring flowers, and the insects will come back. There'll be bees and butterflies and moths and flies and dragonflies, and everything will start to come to life, and it will be wonderful and fragrant, and it'll start to get warmer. And then we'll get into the summer months. And in the summer months, you know, there'll be lots and lots of birds around, and then the birds will be nesting, and they'll disappear for a little while, and then they'll come back. And then the leaves will start to change from green to brown and orange and gold, and we'll be into the autumn. And then there'll be all the fruit on the trees, of course, and we'll see a lot more squirrels, and we'll see a lot more deer and animals like that are coming out to forage for food for the winter. And then we'll be back into winter again. I love the fact that everything is cyclic and ever changing, and every season has its charms, even winter. Anyway, that's it for this week. Toodle-pip. If you've enjoyed this video, then please consider subscribing, or click on some of these links to look at some of the other videos on the channel, or press the like button, or leave a comment. It would be lovely to hear from you. Any combination of those 4 things would be wonderful. Thank you very much.